Do you want strong, pain-free knees that you never have to think about? Well, if you're thinking yes, then today you're going to be learning not only some key biomechanical rules for bulletproof knees, but you're also going to be learning some neurological hacks that will ensure that your knees are unstoppable well into old age. Hey Alba amigos, I'm Celeste. I'm a physio and a yoga teacher, and in today's video, we're going to be learning 3 exercises that will help you have pain-free knees. Now, exercise 3, no one ever talks about, and yet it's the most important, so stick around to get that last tip at the end. Now, before I get started, I feel like it's really important to stress the fact that your knees are not vulnerable or unstable joints like many of the YouTube videos have you believe. Your knees are extremely strong and powerful, but they do just need a little bit of support to operate at their best. Now, before we can learn how to support and help your knees, let's learn about the anatomy of the knee. The knee is a synovial bicondylar joint. Now, this means that it's surrounded by a sock-like structure of lubricating fluid. And there are also lots of ligaments inside the knee and around the knee to help keep it stable. Now, these joints like to move like a hinge mostly, but they also have important other various moves such as a valgus knee line, a varus knee line, and some rotational qualities. And these movement varieties are all super duper important because your knees aren't just going to be flexing and extending for motions like sit to stand or climbing upstairs. They also need to be able to handle changing directions like front to back or side to side. And like all joints in the body, if we are stuck in one position for too long, the joints will get grumpy. But more on that later. Now, the knees have got 2 big main muscles that help to support this joint. One at the front, known as the quadricep, and one at the back, known as the hamstrings. But what's so fascinating about the knee is that for it to operate optimally, we actually need the hip and the foot to work at its strongest, most mobile position. You see, the knee is in the middle of the kinetic chain, which means it's in the middle of where the hip and the ankle have to operate their best. Otherwise, the knee will pick up the slack. So let's take a look at some of the exercises that can help your knees feel unstoppable. First things first is we have to address the hips. And we're going to do this in 2 different ways. The first is addressing the most important stabilizers in the body, known as the gluteus medius. You have 3 glutes. This is the middle one, the medius. This muscle helps to maintain the level of your hips when you are standing on one leg. Now, you might be thinking, well, lady, I'm never on one leg for long periods of time, but you actually are, because when you're walking, you're on one leg for short periods of time, but those little steps add up really quick. And if our hips aren't level while we're walking, the knee will pay the price by collapsing into a valgus knee line. Now, this can be easily avoided if we train our gluteus medius to stay strong in an exercise called Trendelenburg. And to do this, it's really easy. You're going to step up onto an elevated surface, and then without bending your knee, you're going to lower and lift the hips in and out of that stable position. And this is going to help give your brain a better map of where your hips are in space so that when you're out walking, they stay stable. Next, we need to address the ankles mobility. Now, if you've got really, really tight ankles, the knees are going to pay the price by giving you more space to move by collapsing inwards. So to improve your ankle mobility, what we're going to do is come down into a kneeling position, bend our knee forward over our ankle, and see if we can improve the mobility that way, possibly adding an extra weight to make it a bigger range if needed. And as I mentioned earlier, if the joints in your body are stuck in one position for too long, they do tend to get grumpy because we've evolved to move. And modern pain neuroscience is teaching us that the more variety you expose your body to, the better. And that is why my final tip is please make sure you expose your knees gradually to as many different movements as possible. This will help map all those possibilities in your brain so that in life, when one of them happens, it's not going to be a big deal to your body. So try out things like knee circles, moving your knees far over your toes in lots of different positions, and also practice things like hyperextension, but with muscular support that will keep your ligaments safe. Now, if you're thinking, ooh, I'd love to try all these different movements in a full-length class, then please do subscribe because I'm going to be uploading a video very soon with all of these to make your knees as strong as they can ever be. If you've enjoyed this video, let me know in the comments down below and give me a thumbs up. It'll be so awesome to hear from you. I'll see you next time.